Hi, my name is Roxanne Lara. I am originally from McAllen, the Valley area here in Texas. I reside in Houston, Texas. I always say this, the Lord left me here and in Humble, Texas to humble me. And from there, I met my husband and I'm married. And I have a stepson and I have a nephew that the Lord gave me after my sister passing away. I'm 40 years young. And so I've been saved 5 years. Actually, November was my 5th year mark. I have completely surrendered and given my life to the Lord. And I've seen a major transformation in myself and what God can do. Because there is power in His name. There's power in surrendering. There's power in repentance. And so I live here in Houston. I now joined prison ministry. I will share how this is all has added up to, or me leading to me going back into the prison ministry. I go to a church here close by, and God has just been doing amazing things in my life. I come from a family of 5 girls and 1 boy, and my dad was from Mexico and my mom was from Eagle Pass, Texas. And so I was raised in a very dysfunctional family. My dad was from Mexico, like I said. My mom fixed his papers. And at the beginning, I can say that my parents, they were trying to break cycles. But like my mom, she started going to school. My dad paid her education, but my dad, since he didn't have no documents, no papers, and then as my mom got him papers, the process and all that, my dad would do yard work, and then I don't know how he was involved with the drugs, but that's where the drugs started coming in my life, or my life and my sister's, because it was something that I started seeing normal. My mom would work, my dad would sometimes be gone for days, and I would question myself, like, why is my dad always gone? Like, my mom's working, and then my dad ended up getting locked up, and he was just gone a lot of the times. Like, I was little, and I know that my mom was working, but then my oldest sister was the one taking care of us, the oldest one, and I would call her mommy. So eventually I started getting a little bit older. I can say I might have been 9, 10 years old, and I see my dad at home. When he was home, people would come over, his friends, and they're going inside my mom's bedroom, and I'm seeing big old blocks of something. I didn't know that it was drugs at that time. And then my mom worked at a nursing home, so in the kitchen, so she would bring home a lot of saran wraps, plastic that you wrap the food with, but it's used also for the drugs or the marijuana and other drugs. So I started seeing that a lot. Like, my dad's always gone. He brings people over and they're in the room. And so as I get older, I start getting in trouble. But I was seeing my older sister that she's passed away. She was always running away, and my dad was gone. My mom was at work, so there was a lot of freedom for her and for my other sisters. And so my sister was running away, and my dad would come home and my mom would tell him, and I would hear like the conversations, and my mom was always yelling, "You need to tell her something, So my mom was, like, I could say, an instigator, because I remember even when the times that I would get in trouble, she would say, you keep doing that, when your dad gets back, I'm gonna tell him to get you. So she would instigate him, or like get him to whoop us. So that's where the abuse came, because we would get abused by the way my dad would supposedly discipline us. My sister got mops, brooms broken on her because my dad would hit her with them. And then I remember one time my dad was gone, and then he came back, and they took us out to eat, we went to Reynosa, which is Mexico, and they gave us money, right? So I wanted to dye my hair. So I go into the beauty salon, and I had money. I'm like, what can I do with this? So they're like, oh, well, you could get 2 big highlights in the front. And they were like blonde. So I end up getting those highlights. I walk out of the beauty salon or whatever. And my dad saw me when we were getting close to the car, away from people. He turned around and just said, you want to be a one of them women, and he just punched me straight in my face like a man. Like my nose got busted. And so my dad didn't know how to discipline us or even talk to us. There was no communication in my childhood. And so all I remember is my nose got busted and I'm bleeding. And so my mom tells my sister here, gives her money, and she's like, go buy her a hair dye. So we get home, my hair gets dyed back to another color because it was literally like a blonde white hair in between my black hair. So my dad, there was no discipline properly. Like there was no communication or trying to understand us, nothing like that. And he was always gone. So, and then he was on drugs too, drinking and doing cocaine and crack. And I must have been like 13 maybe at this age when this happened. So as I get older, we're traveling back and forth, and I thought it was because we're migrants. They used to do that since they were my older siblings were younger. So we traveled a lot. I remember that, like we're traveling all the time, but we were migrating, but to Colorado, I remember we used to migrate, but we have family over there. My mom's side of family, she comes from working out in the fields and working for like people that own the fields and stuff. So we would go to Colorado, but I would see my dad and my sisters, and even I would work in the fields. But then we started going to Minnesota, and I was like, well, okay, well, we're migrating to Minnesota. So I know that every time summer would finish, like school, and summer would come, we would leave up north. So we started going to Minnesota, and later on I find out that it was because my dad had a drug dealer. It was actually a woman that he would take drugs to and pick up money, and he would travel back and forth from Iowa to Minnesota, and that's where we lived. In Minnesota, we lived because my dad's brother had, his family over there. But Iowa was not that far from Minnesota. It was Iowa and then Minnesota, but we would go back and forth every weekend. And well, my dad was trafficking drugs. And to all this, we're in the middle of it, because I even remember when younger, like my mom would just make all these boxes like they were presents, and they would put us in the back of the truck. And where I'm from, McAllen, you got to pass another checkpoint to come north in Falfurrias. And so all I knew is that, we're gonna travel, we're going. So that's where my mom was involved also. So we go to Minnesota, we're living in Minnesota, but now I'm already older. I might be 13, 14, and by this time it's the first time I tried drugs, because my dad now is traveling back and forth to Texas and Minnesota. My mom's at home. I remember, I think she used to stay home and then she would work, but my dad would go to Iowa, pick up a lot of money, and then was mailing it through UPS. So one time he gets busted for that. And I'm in the middle of this, and I'm seeing all these things as I'm growing up, but to me it's normal. It's something that they've been doing all my life since I can start remembering things. So we get well known in that town. They end up taking the money. They seized the money. They didn't have no way of identifying that money as being a drug money. So my dad, he still had more money and ended up going back to Texas. But it was so much money that those cops came, because I remember I had just gotten home from school and we got raided. So the cops said it was so much money that not even he made that much money in like his career. It was so much money. So like I said, we got well known there. Then I was already shoplifting, and to this my mom would encourage and take me or tell me how to do it. So she's teaching us these things, and she wasn't just doing it with me. Like my mom had been doing this when my younger siblings were young too. So after, I start getting in trouble in Minnesota, I end up coming across a guy that was upstairs. It was like a house, a 3-apartment, but it was a big house, but it was divided in 3 apartments. So I end up meeting this guy that lived upstairs, and this guy turns out to be my boyfriend. I end up talking to him because of the drugs. So we start smoking weed, and he became my boyfriend. And later on, I started having sex with him. So this was the first time that I got pregnant. And by this time, I'm going back and forth because I'm also helping my mom smuggle people from Mexico to the United States. And this had been going on since maybe I was 13, 14. My dad trafficking drugs, my mom's trafficking people. It started off as, can you take my friend or my cousin, or it was our own family members, but then it got like big, like them family members shared with their friends in Houston, and it just started getting like a big, it was our job for some time. And so now I'm trafficking people. I'm driving. I'm 14, 15 years old, and I'm driving across the checkpoint from McAllen, or even sometimes from Reynosa, from Mexico, to this side. And this was all before 2000, before the Twin Towers. And so we just, it became our hustle. And we're charging from $1,500, then it went to $2,500, and now we're getting connected with a lot of more people. And so my mom and I started even traveling out of state, out of Texas, or even down south to like the border from Mexico and Guatemala to pick up kids, taking them all the way to Georgia, other states. So we're charging up to $10,000 per person or per child. So, all this, I'm still thinking all this is normal because this is what my mom and my dad are teaching me, and I'm seeing at home. Like, there's never no correction, no, like, you don't do this, they would do it, or my mom mostly would do it. My dad was a little bit more of a private, and he didn't want us to know, but eventually we saw things, and him being gone all the time. So in Minnesota, then that's when I met that guy, and I had to travel back to Texas because we had people to cross. And so I get to Texas and I find out I'm pregnant, and I'm freaking out. At that time, I used to have trouble with my menstrual, like getting my menstrual every month. So my mom knew, and she would take me to Mexico to get some shots, or at times she would give me the money and I would go to the pharmacy by myself. So when I find out I'm pregnant, I'm freaking out. I can't tell my mom, I can't tell my dad. But why? Because I've never had a parent or anybody to sit down and try to understand me, somebody I can open up to, somebody I can trust. I didn't have a voice. So I'm always dealing with it by myself in my mind and trying to figure out, being sneaky, lying, all these things that have been normal to me because I have nobody there for me. Like, I had everything I needed. My parents, through the drug money and all that, my mom would work and everything that she would do. I mean, I never went without. But what I was missing was my parents' love, my parents' communication, understanding, a hug, what a child really desires, So I'm pregnant and I'm trying to figure it out on my own. So the easiest thing was that I thought was like, I could put one of them shots and the baby will come, because if I put that shot, I'm getting my period. But I put a few of them on, like one, and then it never came. So I went back, I got another one. So I'm seeing like this baby's not coming. So the next time I go to Mexico, I tell the pharmacist, like, hey, I'm pregnant. Like, how can I abort this baby? So they tell me you got to put 2 shots at the same time. So I end up doing that. By this time, that guy I'm pregnant by, him, my sister, and my sister's baby daddy come back from Minnesota. It was going to be Christmas. It was around Christmas time. And they drove down here, and then I got to see him again. My parents now leave from Texas to Minnesota. And so we're home alone, and we're doing whatever we want. There's freedom all the time because my parents are gone. They leave me in charge, or left us in charge with my older siblings, and they're also doing whatever they want. Like, and this just reminded me when my first time I got drunk. I was in 3rd grade. Like, my parents were gone, and they left me with my older siblings and my sister. I know I'm kind of going off track, but it just brought me back to that's how bad it was. My sisters were drinking. My sisters were with guys. So what the easiest thing for them to do was, here, give, it was me and my little sister, give them a wine cooler. So that's when I first got drunk. And they gave me a wine cooler so I wouldn't tell, or my little sister wouldn't tell. So I'm in 3rd grade. What am I, 7, 8 years old, and I'm drunk. I busted my lip that night. My parents got home, and when they see me, they told my parents that I had fell outside in the sidewalk, and my lips, and I still have those scars. So anyways, yeah, it was bad. Like my parents were gone most of the time. It was sad. We at times it was after we would finish school. Like when we would migrate, it was like when the school finished, and then once I was in Minnesota, it was like going back and forth. Like I would miss school. There was no stability. Cool. Yeah. And by age what 15, when I get together with this man, I tried going to school. Like I was in high school already, but then to me it was more we're doing easy money. We're doing the going back and forth, traveling, drugs, all this, and I have this man already, which is my boyfriend I'm living with. So I just decided to drop off school. Like I dropped out. So there's no more school. And so when I end up getting those 2 shots. I killed, and I didn't understand this till now, but I was a murderer. I murdered that baby. Like I killed my baby. That was the first baby that I lost because of me aborting this baby, me being scared, me not wanting nobody to know. I had never told anybody till now that I share my testimony. Like nobody in my family ever knew. Not my mom, never. My mom passed away and I never told her. The day that I end up aborting the baby, it was in a convenience store. I was so high on cocaine, and I just remember like I went to the restroom. I thought I was gonna do number one at like pee, and I aborted the baby. And I get up, I look down the toilet, and I see like it was already kind of big. And so all I did was I flushed it, and then I get in the car and I tell the guy I'm with, there's nothing. Like, oh, we just went on about whatever, because we were all drinking, we were all doing cocaine. I was numb. Cocaine made me not feel anything. I just brushed it off. And so from there, my dad, like I said, there was always drugs at home. And my youngest sister, I'm 15, my youngest sister's like 13, 14. And so there was a big old bag of marijuana because that's what my dad would do, put the marijuana inside the refrigerator. So I started getting weed out of that bag. And by the time I know it, there's a little bit, like there's not that much left. So my little sister tells my mom. And my mom gets on the phone with me and she's like, you better put that back. And if not, you better get out of the house. And when we come back, you better not be there. So, I mean, I didn't have to wait for her to tell me 2 times. I left. And I told the guy that I was pregnant from, I said, hey, well, now we took that marijuana from my dad and my mom's freaking out. So I have to go. Like, I don't want to be here no more. So that's when I go live with him. And I ended up being with him or living with him I was 15 till about age 23 when my dad passed away. And in that time, it kind of stopped me from doing a lot of things, because I think I would have gone more crazy, more wild, but I still did things that I wasn't supposed to, like smoking crack, popping pills. I was so addicted to the Rehypnol. There's those roofies, the date rape pills, and me and him would fight over those pills. I ended up doing crystal meth with. We're traveling back and forth, also still doing drugs, because now I had met him because he was there trying to take marijuana or sell the drugs, or have my dad help him sell the drugs, him and some other guy. And so he comes from this, he's doing the same things. And so I leave with him. My mom tells him, or my dad tells my mom, hey, go talk to Roxanne, ve habla con la niña and bring her back, like tell her to come home. But at this time, I've already experienced freedom, more freedom than what I had. And I tell her like, no. And she's like, well, then whenever your boyfriend comes from work, because he was working, and just go to the house, your dad wants to talk to you and your dad wants to see you. So I go home. But to me now, I feel like I'm a grown-up. And I ended up being with this man. They ended up accepting the situation, or what I had decided. So after that, losing my dad is when I lost him, and I had lost my dad. By this time, this man had gotten so tired of me. I did to him everything a man does to a woman. Like, I didn't come home one day. I came home the next day and I was full of hickeys. I would beat him up. it was bad. Like, this man was older than me. I was 15, he was 21. But I did so many things to hurt him. Even though he was doing like trafficking drugs and stuff, I would push him to traffic people. And he would tell me like, no, like, I don't want to do this. So then I was literally being a person like my mom. And now I reflect and I understand it was a Jezebel spirit. Like, I wanted to manipulate. I wanted to control things. And that's how my mom started being. Because even my dad would tell my mom, like, don't do this. Like, when we would traffic or leave from the valley to Houston, a lot of times, like, at times we would come up here 2-3 times or meeting each other halfway. And we were gone a lot of the time. So my dad would try to stop my mom. Like, yeah, like, don't do this. And my mom would say, yeah, like, don't tell me nothing. We'll be back. And so my dad at this time, when he would try to stop us and my mom and I started doing this more, my dad had already been in federal prison. And then it was like county jail time they gave him in Oklahoma City because they caught him. He was traveling from the valley up north to Minnesota. And he had passed the checkpoint, the Falfurrias checkpoint, but in Oklahoma City, they pulled him over and he had smuggled like 2 pounds of marijuana inside his, like, on his stomach, and they end up finding the drugs. So I remember my mom bailed him out. They tried helping him, hired an attorney and everything, because my dad, remember, he had a green card or a resident card. And so he ends up losing that card. He ends up losing the card, and he did I think it was like 12 months in county jail. And my dad thought it was going to be like federal prison time. So my dad suffered a lot, and I remember him writing and stuff. He would write to me scriptures and talking about the Bible and all these things. I really believe and want to believe that my dad ended up accepting Jesus and knew about Jesus, because even a couple of days before he passed away, one of his sisters that is a Christian said my dad came to see her and that he had accepted the Lord as his Lord and Savior. So my dad ends up passing away in 2009, 2010. He was high on drugs. And my dad had his own little landscaping business. He would trim palm trees, yard work. So a palm tree fell on top of him. And that was the time that my life completely changed. By this time, I'm already having problems with this guy that I'm with. My dad passes away 2 days after his accident. They took him to the hospital, but they didn't know what was wrong with him. So he had a belt on, because he would have like I forgot what they're called, but it would tie him up to the palm tree, and he had the hooks. He would climb the palm trees. And so he was high. The guy that was working with him kind of shared with us what happened that day. And he was high, got up there, tied the palm tree, and told the helper to cut the palm tree on the bottom. Like, he was supposed to cut down that palm tree, and he thought somehow that palm tree, that he was going to be able to fall on top of the palm tree and not the palm tree on top of him. So the palm tree falls on top of my dad. My dad's wearing that big belt with the big metal thing in the front where it ties. So it broke his pelvis, and something had busted inside his body, his stomach. So I believe it was 2 days after that he passed away in the hospital. They said something. They say it was something they injected in him, and then whatever had busted inside his body, it just somehow he passed away. And that was what changed my life. That was because even though my dad was always gone, my mom would put him against us to whoop us and all that. There was times that my mom wanted to give us up to the juvenile, wanted to go sign us in to programs or places to get rid of us because she couldn't deal with us anymore. So my dad had no other choice but to listen and follow what my mom would say. And even though my dad tried, like, my mom would tell her, you gotta go over there and they're gonna go and you're gonna sign for them. And my dad would tell her. And I'll never forget this, and I always share this because it's something that a lot of times our parents might, do things without thinking, maybe because they're tired of what we do, and they just don't know because they didn't have that for themselves, the communication, somebody to understand them. And that's where I think about my parents. because my dad tried, but he didn't know. And then my mom having that heavy spirit of controlling, manipulating, anger. And so my dad would tell her, like, "Oh, vieja, how can you give your kids away? They're not a sack of potato." So my dad was the one showing up, like when my sister got caught with marijuana at the checkpoint. My dad went there and picked her up. My mom said, if you don't go, they're gonna take her there. She's gonna end up in juvenile. My dad showed up. When I would get locked up a couple of times, my dad figured it out and told her, like, call your sisters. At this time my dad couldn't come up north no more, and he would tell her, like, we got to figure out how to get her out from jail. Now my dad, I believe he tried standing up. He tried to defend us from our mom, I could say, and get us out of jail and all this, because he would do the same things. Like, he was the one locked up, he was the one doing drugs. So maybe in him he had a conviction, he had that guilt, maybe not conviction, but guilt that, they're going through this, how can I help them? So he tried, like, that one time he got me out of jail. There was one time he got me out of jail, and then he waited for me outside the county jail, and we got home, we slept, and in the morning he tells me, get up, make me something to eat, like make me breakfast. And when I'm cooking, he comes and he says, like, he tries to have this communication I'm longing for, and he says, like, ¿qué piensas? But I wasn't even ready or prepared to open up, because I didn't know how he was gonna respond, or I don't know. But I remember him trying. That was something that, when he passed away, it was like, man, I lost my everything. I wanted to give up in life. I ended up trying to commit suicide. I was daddy's little girl, I could say, because even when I was little, my sisters would say that every time that my mom and my dad would fight, my dad would always try to take me with him. And even in the times that I would have relationship problems with the guy I was with, and I would come, because I would always go to my parents, and my dad was always there, and he would tell me, come on, look, your mom made some tortillas. Because after my dad got out the last time from that county jail, like I said, he would share about God or Jesus and scriptures and stuff. My dad was different. That's why I knew that something had changed, but I didn't know exactly what it was. Because even the ride home when we picked him up, that time that he got out, I didn't have fear of my dad. Because before, since my mom would push that fear on us and tell us, your dad's gonna do this, I'm gonna tell your dad this, and my dad would do it. And so when he got out that last time, my dad was different. I got to experience to put a Christmas tree up with him. That's when my dad would tell me, come on, mijita, look, your mom made some tortillas, and these are our favorite. And so when he passed away, that affected me a lot. It affected me because he was, I don't know, to me, he was my everything. And, well, it was my dad. And so when he passed away, that's when that guy left me, and I became a drunk. I started drink. I used to drink before that, and it was like occasional here and there, but I became a full-blown drunk, and the enemy just took over. I started doing a lot of heavy crack and popping those pills, and it was just a mixture of a downer and a high, and I would stay up nights. And I remember then one of those nights, it was after my dad passed away, that spirit of Santa Muerte, because it's very known where I'm from. I remember her showing up, and it might have been in the hallucination, I don't know, but that's the perfect time, because I had opened doors through the drugs. I was high on crack, and seeing it, I remember it was like she wanted me to pray to her or like worship her, because even after that, and when I was in county, I would have dreams about that thing, like that Santa Muerte, that image, that figure coming in my dreams. And so because after me becoming a drunk and all that, I started committing crimes, and at times I didn't have to be with a lot of people. It was just me by myself, just trying to get more money to get high. I lost, because I had taken over my dad's little business, and I had this man that was helping me, but then me and him would get high on crack even during the day. Like, we would go and park in the middle of a field and just sit there and smoke crack. But it came to a point that it was something with him that I ended up pulling out a knife on him, and I kicked him out. Like, he was living outside in a mobile home that we had, and so he ends up leaving, because, man, if I don't know, God, who else kept me from not stabbing that man. Like, I don't know why I had so much anger towards him, and there was something just evil or ugly about him, even though I was under the influence of these drugs. But I ended up kicking him out after I pulled out the knife on him. And I'm doing all these crimes too, because now I'm hooked on crack. I'm drinking, I'm smoking, I'm popping pills. So I start picking up charges. I know, I mean, I have so many, from evading arrest. They were car chasing me. I was robbing people. My niece was with me. My mom and my sister had to go pick her up, and I'm in the county jail, or the city jail, and then they take me to the county jail, and all these things that the drug was consuming me, or the demons, basically, because I was already feeding for this drug. I'm trying to continue my high. So I get out in one of these times, and I tried going to school. I got in school for medical assistant, and I also started strip dancing. From, I don't know, my mind was just everywhere. Like, I wanted to do good, but I couldn't, and I wanted to, but I couldn't. And I become a stripper. And so I'm going to community college to get my medical assistant, but I'm still doing things. And by the time I know it, I'm getting high with the instructor from school. He does cocaine too. He's helping me pass classes, but then when it comes to drawing blood and stuff, I couldn't, because I was high and going to school hungover. So I ended up quitting the medical assistant school. And I'm already in this strip dancing. I'm doing a lot of things that I would have never imagined myself to be doing, but I was having sex with the men in there when they were paying for private dances. I'm high. I'm meeting people, drug cartel people. So that's how I started helping some people from the cartel to smuggle drugs from the side of the river to the dope houses, or where they have their houses with the drugs. And so the word gets to the man in Mexico about me being the driver picking up the drugs, because I was using my mom's vehicle, a van we had. And so now I'm trafficking drugs and smuggling or picking them up from the river to those homes. The man finds out, and he calls me to go to Mexico. And it was a year after my dad passed away, because I remember it was going to be the church service my mom did for my dad a year after, but I was in Mexico. So I had a warrant, and I couldn't drive over there or even go over there. So I decided to go walking, and on my way, I go over there and I experience some crazy movie type of stuff, like what you see in the movies. So I end up getting involved with the cartel over there. I meet the main leader or boss, whatever. I'm having sex and doing orgies with women, him, and drugs. I see kids that are, I don't know, 9, 10 years old, 13 years old. They're getting high, smoking crack. They're getting paid for trafficking the drugs. They're the ones smuggling the drugs back. And like, the drugs were like 100-pound blocks. And so when I come back and I swim back through the river. It was like literally like a movie type of thing. So that time they couldn't pass the drugs. They couldn't smuggle them. So the orders were that I needed to make it across. No matter what, even if the drugs couldn't make it across, that I had to get to that side. So I get home, I'm all full of mosquito bites, and it was like crazy. Like, I reflect back on these things, and there was border patrol, and we had to run. Literally what you see in the movie. So by this time, I go back, and now I'm still working for them people. And so I end up getting back with one of my exes. Through all this, I end up connecting back with old people, and it was before I had already met him or gotten connected back with him. I took my mom for the last time to Colorado, and on our way back, I end up finding some people, because in between McAllen and Farfurias, sometimes you find people that are lost, that are walking, people that are trying to cross the checkpoint. And so we found them people, brought them all the way back to McAllen. And so I end up lying to my mom, and I take these people's money and I leave them in the hotel, and I take their money. And so me and my mom got into it. We stopped talking for a while, and I get together with this ex of mine, and I end up leaving to Michigan. But before I leave to Michigan, it's where I say my goodbyes to my mom. I didn't know at that time, But that was the last time I saw my mom alive. And when I come back from Michigan was because I kept calling her and I kept calling her. My mom wouldn't answer her phone. My mom ended up giving up in life. She was diabetic. She needed dialysis. And I had been trying to help her to get that help, but she had already decided in her mind she didn't want life support. She didn't want to do dialysis, all these things after my dad passed away. She stopped taking care of herself, her medication. So when she wasn't answering when I was in Michigan, my sisters call me and tell me, hey, Roxanne, like, we're taking mom to the hospital. Like, she's not responding. It was her kidneys or liver that it was giving up already, and it shut down at the end. My sisters did decide to put her on life support till I got back. That's when I get back, but my mom's connected to this machine. My mom wasn't there fully, completely alive or seeing me, but I know she heard me, and that's when I told her, like, I told you I would come back, and I'm here. And I literally told her, like, that she could go. And my sisters and I decided to unplug her from life support. That day, my mom, when I told her that I was back, all I saw was tears. So that's why I know she was there, but she wasn't there. So by this time now, I lose my mom. And I get worse. And the guy I was with, me and him were always getting high. Me, him, and my sister smoking crack. So I end up going on a drug bench for I don't know how long. I could say days. I was up awake smoking crack after my mom passed away. I didn't even show up to the church, the service, nothing. She passed away November the 12th. By January, all this time I'm high and sleeping for days or just to get rest and up and whatever. But January, after New Year's, I think it was, I end up picking up 2 aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. I had pistol whipped the guy I was with, and that was one occasion. Then the second one, I hit him with a crowbar and opened his head with a crowbar, the ones you use to change tires with. I had called him by my ex's name, and he ended up leaving. When he came back, he had hickeys, and in one of the times I'm sitting next to him, and this is how I guess God allowed all these things. And I do reflect back on these things, and when I talk about them, because not to glorify it or anything, but I'll never forget that after I took a hit of that crack, I let go of the smoke. And it just, something evil came upon me. And I turn around, I look at him, and I just tell him, like, get off. Because I already knew there was something, like, in me. It would just transform me to be that evil person. And I started hitting myself. And my sister tells him, like, hey, just leave. So he left that night, and that's when the next day we're going to go look for him. And I end up doing that. I pistol whipped him, and I get locked up because see him, and that's when I picked up the second charge, the crowbar. I see him at the dope house, and we're trying to buy drugs. He was there, or I was there first, and then he got there, and the cops ended up getting called because I had the crowbar and I'm hitting him, breaking all his windows, and I hit him, and they take me to jail. I'm thinking, and they're telling me, you'll be out tomorrow, Gallardo. You'll be out tomorrow. So the next day comes, and that's when they tell me I'm going to county, and I had 2 aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. So in that time I'm there, at first I'm detoxing. I'm taking it like whatever. I'm already used to this. I'd already been in county jail a few times. But then the attorney comes and sees me, and he's like, Gallardo, because that's my maiden name. And they're like, Gallardo, like, you're looking at some serious time. Like, I don't know what you're thinking, but you're going to go to prison, and it's going to be for a long time. And so I was like, man, after I went back to my cell, and I'm like thinking, like, man, I ain't got my mom no more. Nobody's bringing me money for commissary. My mom at least would bring me $20 or come see me every other weekend or whenever she could. But now I ain't got nobody. Like, this is some serious stuff. And before this, I would share this. I was not playing, but those playing cards. I had opened doors to so many things. Like, even before, when I was in Minnesota, Santeria, and in county jail, I'm reading these cards, the playing card, the Jack, Queen, all those. Somehow I had a way of reading those cards and like helping people supposedly with whatever, but it was evil. So I was doing that, and I was just taking it like nothing, like, oh, whatever. But after that visit, that attorney visit, and what he told me, it kind of got me thinking. And he told me, he said, sign up and ask him if you can go to the law library. And so I did, but I didn't know what I was doing really. Like, I was just showing up at the law library and looking up books and stuff, the books. And then I was able to ask the person in charge, I was like, hey, can I start getting like books I can take back to my cell and I can read? So I started getting inspirational books, Christian books, Bibles. God was doing something and I didn't understand it. But then the man sat me down in the computer and showed me. By this time I have, I don't know, a lot of pictures, my mugshots when I've been going in and out, in and out. And so I sit there and he shows me, he's like, Gallardo, like, I don't know what you're going through or why, but look I just want you to see this. And he showed me from the first mugshot to that time. And I was just, my pictures were changing. And I believe I have them on my TikTok, some of them, because I have more than that. And so I could see the difference where I was skinny and some I look mean, like it was bad. So anyway, so I start going back to my cell and I'm, got all these books. It was a Kenneth Copeland Bible that had how to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and how to receive the Holy Spirit. So I did that without knowing who God was. And I just started working out. I started feeling better. Like, I remember I had a pain in my back and I prayed and something came up in the TV. Like, I had control because that was something that I had also. I always tried to control like the cells and I was the main one running and all that stuff. Anyway, so I was watching TV and they're like, do this and pray this, and it helped me. Like, God healed me there from that pain I had in my back. Anyways, I'm gonna make it a little bit short on that. God ends up giving me 4 years probation for those 2 aggravated assaults with it. I get out a week. I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I'm trying to go to church. I'm reading a Bible and I'm really trying, but I go back to the old people, same places. And somehow my ex, who I had just heard and I went to jail for, we end up connecting back. I go back with him. And I literally can say I chose him and the drugs, because even he would tell me go back home. Like, I don't want you to do this. But I end up like telling him like, nah, man, give me a hit. And I started doing drugs with him. And that scripture that says that, I believe is in Matthew or Luke, where it says that our house gets clean and there's spirits waiting to come back and they come back 7 times worse. I remember that scripture. I literally lived that scripture out. So I was out a week, went back to that lifestyle. I was out 1 month, but I got worse. I became, I don't know, worst person ever, like evil completely. Burning houses, cars, beating up ladies or people in front of their kids, robbing people, stabbing people. It just got bad. I had a car chase from one county to another. Like, I literally just didn't care. I remember telling them guys that were with me before we had that car crash, I put my seatbelt on and I told them, put your seatbelt on and give me a beer. And I took some bumps and I popped some pills. It was like type of suicidal type of thing. And I just took off that car. I was going about 80 miles an hour on a curve. And I end up having Border Patrol, the state troopers, the helicopter chasing me, all these. And I end up having a car accident. The car flipped so many times. I should have been dead. And I know that God's angels, God saved me in that car accident. Them guys that were with me, they said they took off their seatbelt and they took off running. I remember somebody pulling me out. Somebody pulled me out of that car and I had a punctured liver. I didn't know at that time, but something was hurting. I couldn't walk. I couldn't run. And I have all these credit cards, money on my boobs, on my bras, and I'm trying to hide them. I pass out. All I remember, I'm walking towards the edge and there's the ambulance waiting for me. And so I end up going to the hospital. They tear up all my clothes when they're putting me in the ambulance. I'm in and out of conscience and I'm in the hospital for a few days. And I came out on the news. My family didn't know about me. I end up getting taken to jail, to county jail. When my family was going to buy me clothes, they end up picking me up there at the county. They found me. And that was the time that I end up getting prison time. That was the first time I did prison time in 2014. I did TDC time. I got out. I end up getting out on parole. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do things right, but I still struggling trying to let go of old people, places, and things. And somehow it kept coming to me because my sister was one that I tried getting away from. My sister that passed away. Me and her were always having trouble because we were doing drugs. She had a big drug problem even before me. She had a lot of stuff. And so I end up getting into trying to help my sister, but I put myself again in trouble. I pulled out a knife on somebody and I robbed him. It was a setup that I was always the one organizing these crimes. So I end up stabbing pulling out the knife, and I tried robbing him. And so the cops get called, and they're looking for us. We're on the news, they're looking for us. And so my easiest thing was, at this time I had my own car. I had moved out of the neighborhood. I had my own apartment, but I up and left everything and end up leaving to Mexico. And I told myself, I'm not going back to prison, because in TDC I suffered. Like, I really went through some things in hobby unit. At times they don't have water. They had us on lockdown. It was bad. Spoiled food. Summer was bad. Heat rash, officers bullying me, and I saw people get beat up by the officers. So many things that I said, I am not going back to prison. I'd rather go to Mexico than go to prison. Why go to Mexico? I ain't got nowhere to stay. I just take off. I have family over there. I end up getting a place where to stay. I started working at a taqueria, getting paid like $20 a week. And I started doing the same thing I was doing over here. I end up getting drunk and getting high. We had already robbed some people a few weeks before this. And so the next time this guy, he's insisting. I'm like, no, man, like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. So he finally gets me tired of me listening to him. So I'm like, come on. So you're going to do this. You're going to get the knife. You're the one that's going to get off. And I tell him what he's going to do and where are we gonna go? So we end up pulling out on somebody. This man was just walking to work with a backpack, and I'm like, come on, get off and get him, like, get his stuff. So I guess the cartel people saw us, and we got reported on the radio. And he gets the backpack. There's only that poor man's lunch, a pack of cigarettes, some coins. And we take off, and I'm just like, give me a cigarette, and I'm driving. So I pull up at a light, and all I remember is a maroon GMC Envoy pulls up in front of I had a white Toyota Isuzu or something like that. It was an SUV. And I'm thinking, the first thing I thought when he got off, that man got off and had a AK-47 and pulled it up towards us, I thought he wanted our car. Or my car. And I was like, man, like, they want the car. I was getting off. But when I get off and that man's right there, he grabs me from my hair and throws me and opens the back door and throws me in there, and he starts cussing at me. All these ugly things. And by this time, I'm still not even thinking that it's because of what we just did. And so they end up tying me up. And they're trying to figure out who we are, asking all these questions. I remember seeing the guy that was with me, and they're just punching him, beating him up. They take him in another car. I'm telling them, hey, like, I ain't got no gas. I don't have no gas. They end up pulling over, and I see the guy. Somehow they opened the door where I was in the back. I see him. He's full of blood, and it was very, very scary. And so I end up getting tied up after that. They take us to like this dead end, and they're checking everything I have in my car. I have clothes, all these things. So they get a shirt from there, and that's how they tie me up. The guy that's tying me up speaks English, and I'm able to communicate with him. Like, what are they gonna do with me? And he's like, just don't fight them. Like, just listen to what they're telling you. I don't know. He's like, just listen to them. So they tie me up. The man comes and he starts hitting me in my face, telling me all these things, and then he tears my shirt up right in the middle with a knife, and he starts pulling my breast, and he tries cutting my boob, and he's telling me like that I need to tell him who I am, where I'm from. And, like, I'm telling him, like, I'm on the run. I am from Texas. Like, I live on the other side, and they end up just putting me back in a truck. And by this time, I'm seeing the other guy too. They're still beating him up. He's bleeding, and his nose, lips busted, and it's just very scary. Man, when I got in that truck in the back, I just started crying out to God, like, forgive me, Lord, forgive me. I didn't know who God was, but I know I was saying, Lord God, please help me, help me. In those 3 days they had me kidnapped, they would pull the windows down. They were on the radio. They were getting chased. They would put the window down, pull the guns out, the AK-47s, and like they were driving fast. I had a bunch of carpet burn on my side and my hips. And it was like the day before they let me go. They take me to this house and they got me cleaning up this house with blood. And it was like they had killed somebody there. There's bullet holes on the walls and windows. And I cleaned the refrigerator. I cooked for them. They're smoking weed. And they finally let me take a shower. But the man that takes me to take a shower, then he starts molesting me and touching me and like just violating me. And I mean, I can't tell nobody. I can't say nothing because I mean, I'm scared they're gonna do something. This whole time when I was in the car, I was scared too because I needed to go to the restroom and they would tell me to shut up or they would slap me. So there was no way I could say something about him touching me, and they're not gonna care. So that time after I shower, I put some weird clothes on that I found there. They put me in the car and they're all drinking. They pick up girls and I end up passing out. And the next thing I remember is waking up and they're waking me up and telling me to get off. So I get off and I'm in the middle of a field, like I don't know where I'm at. And he tells me that one of the guys tells me like, put your hands in the back, like in the back of the truck. So I put my arms like that on top and then he just starts hitting me with the 2x4 on my back. And I remember him saying something like they were gonna let me go. So then they get in the car after they hit me. I don't remember how many times. They get in the truck in the back and some are in the front, but they got their guns like pointing up and just like if they were celebrating. And so when they're pulling away, I'm like, man, I didn't want to look. I want to look, but I don't want to look, but I had to. All I remember is them just taking off, and I really thought they were going to shoot me. So they take off, and somehow my instinct, I don't know, I just started walking. And it's going to be daylight, and all I see is people walking. They're all walking the same way. So I just start following them. Anyways, I end up going, picking up my stuff. I find my way home where I was staying. I get my stuff. I sell the stuff that I had. I get money. I get something to eat. And I turn myself in at the U.S. Custom border, the bridge. And they take me to the hospital. From the hospital, they take me to the county. I go to ISF for violating my parole. I end up getting in a lesbian relationship there. And it was like I didn't face what had happened to me because I found comfort and love and I don't know. I found everything and I felt good being with that woman there. And so that's where I reflect back that like I never looked for God. I only cried out to him when I needed him. And it wasn't healing. It wasn't the right thing to do, but that's what was easier for me. And that's what the enemy would put in front of me. So I end up getting out and I stay in Houston. I get connected with somebody I used to work with in Mexico, this Salvadorian guy. He was in Houston. I found him on Facebook. Anyway, so I get connected with him and I stay and live with him there. And I end up leaving him because I was drinking. I would get high, drunk, and I'll never forget, I would get a lighter and put it in his face. Like I was so evil. Like this poor man tried to have a life or relationship with me, but I was so ugly to him. And so somehow I found my mom's side of family and me and him started working with him, but he ended up leaving because I was treating him ugly. And so I end up staying in Humboldt, Texas with my mom's cousin. Well, I think it's her cousin, blood cousin. And I end up getting drunk, high again and leaving. He would let me go back and forth, but he had his own prison ministry. Like I was sitting in my blessing and I didn't understand. I didn't see this. Anyway, so I end up going back to the valley to cross a person. So it was going to be my birthday, June 2019 or 2018. I don't remember. It was 2018. So it was going to be my birthday. I wanted money. I end up taking off to the valley because they're offering me $2,500 to cross one person from McAllen to Houston, to bring them to Houston. And they had the car, everything. I just had to drive. So I end up getting caught. I got to the valley. I got pills. I got coke and I got high. When I was coming back, the officer in the report and the border patrol said that they could see something wrong with me. Well, I was high, and I end up getting locked up for that, and that's when I did my federal prison time. So I'm locked up in Carswell and Fort Worth, and I don't remember how much, it was like 20 months or something. They end up giving me halfway house. I get out January 2020. And I fall back to the same things. I'm reading my word. The whole time I was in the federal detention or the federal prison, I'm going to church, Seventh Day Adventist. They're still, I'm still trying. I have all those notes I would take there. God was literally speaking to me there, but I wasn't listening. I wasn't applying what I was learning. So I get sent back for drugs. I got high. I started doing pills, and I found the same things. Put everything at the halfway house, smuggling alcohol, drunk, and I lost it. One day at the halfway house, started hitting myself. They end up calling the marshals and take me back to the federal detention center. So I'm there from April to November of 2020. So the last time I get out, it was 1 week I was struggling. Like, man, how am I going to do it? I ain't got a job. I need money. I don't have a car. And my cousin, I come and live back with I tell him cousin, my mom's cousin, which is basically my uncle. And he tells me, like, you got to calm down, prima. Like, it's not going to happen from one day to another. You got to be patient. And so he invites me. His girlfriend lives, or her family lives in the valley, and they invite me, and they're like, we can drop you off at your sister's and we'll pick you up when we come back. I was like, okay. So I go back home and spend time with my family after being locked up this time. And so something happened that it just dysfunctioned, and they were lying on me, and my sister wanted me to make amends with my other sister that I had done something, and they were lying on me. And I'm like, Corina, but that didn't happen. Like, it wasn't me. Don't you think that would have caused a problem back then? How am I going to apologize for something that I didn't do? So anyways, I end up crying and going into the room, and I get out and I tell my other sister, I said, please tell me, when did this happen? I'm on my knees, my nephews, I'm drunk at this time. I had said to myself, I'm only going to drink wine. It's not the same as beer or alcohol, like the other hard liquor. And so everybody's around me, and I'm on my knees crying, but I'm drunk. I'm telling my sister, and my other sister comes out and she's like, Roxanne, just go to sleep, go to the room. So I do, but I'm laying there and I'm like, I can't. Like, I have to leave. Like, I got to get out of here. So I take off, put myself in danger. This man picks me up. He tries having sex with me. He had taken me into his home. I somehow get out. I end up walking to a convenience store and stayed on the phone with another sister, my sister that passed away. She was in the hospital, but I'm on the phone with her. And I just stayed there all night in the middle of the morning, or middle of the night. It was like 5, 6, 7 in the morning. I don't remember. My cousin picks me up. And on my way back to Houston or to Humboldt, I just, was seeing my family on the group chat fighting and telling each other things. And it was just like this dysfunction. It just felt so ugly. When I get home, I'm like, man, God, like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this dysfunction. And so my sister used to send me a bunch of videos, and it was like, how to talk to God, prayers and all this. So I don't know what led me to that one video, and it was called How to Talk to God, or How to Have an Encounter with God, or something like that. So I started listening to it, and it starts telling me to put headphones on, and so I'm following all the instructions this man in this video is saying. So I lay in my bed, I put the headphones on, and it takes me back to when I was a little girl, and how to forgive myself and to talk to that little girl. And in a moment, I remember a lot of things that I told my little self, like the little Roxanne. And that's where I've identified a lot of things where I didn't have a voice. I put myself through all these things, or put her, and because I didn't have a voice. I didn't have nobody there. Like I said earlier at the beginning of my testimony, that my parents couldn't give me none of that. And that's where I go and I apologize and I talk to the little Roxanne. And then from there, talking to this little Roxanne, it takes me up into some stairs, and I go to talk to God. And that's where I start telling him, like, I'm tired of this, and forgive me. And it in the video is like to embrace God, and I feel a hug. And at that time, I'm laying down, I have my eyes closed, there's this bright yellow light on top of me. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I saw it with my like my eyes were closed, but I felt that. And the video finishes, and I get up, and now I get on my knees, and I cry out from my heart, and I tell God, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being this drunk, being the same thing over and over. Like, I've tried it my way and I have not been able to do it. My family's a dysfunction. I ain't got a mom. I ain't got a dad. I don't want to go back to prison. I'm tired of suffering there. I don't want to do this no more. I need you to help me. And God met me there. God met me there when I was tired of this. When finally, I decided and gave it to Him. And then I recognized that I couldn't do it on my own. I can say that a miracle happened in that room. I was not in a church. I was not nowhere. He found me where I desperately cried out to Him. And I changed completely from, like, I felt that burden, everything that I was carrying, that weight lifted off me. And since that day, that Roxanne changed. I have become a new person in Christ. And it's taken me, my decision daily, because I've been attacked. I've gone through a lot of things that come against me, that the enemy has put in front of me. I have failed. I failed after I got married with my husband. I cheated on him, and it was the process that I had to go through, but it was my repentance, and I would go back to God, and God showed me that time. That was a problem that I had that I hadn't given up. I was looking for comfort and love in men, so that's why I continue to do that. And I could just say that the true living God has been able to transform me in every area of my life that I've wanted to surrender, and that I want to surrender, because I have known that the relationship, being honest, open with God, I mean, it's only Him that can be able to, anybody, me, you, being transparent with God, because He already knows. And I shared about my cheating on my husband, because that was one thing that the enemy had a foothold or a grab of me. When I did something for God, I corrected somebody, but the enemy used that person and turned it around and said, but you have cheated on your husband. So I say this, that whatever you don't renounce, whatever things you don't confess to, like me in my situation, like I hadn't confessed that to my husband. I had confessed it to God. I had confessed it to my sisters in Christ, but I hadn't confessed it completely. The enemy had a foothold on me, and he was able to bring that and rub it in my face, in other words. And so, but that day that person told me that, I automatically came back and I told my husband, and I opened up, and I've had so much freedom after that. And it's just being honest with God and being honest with yourself, because a lot of times when we're not honest with ourselves, like I got out, they had me on all these medications that I would say I had this, I had that, but I used them to medicate myself. And I told myself, if I don't say the truth, if I'm not honest with myself, then who's going to know, or how am I going to really be freed from that? Or who's going to know that that's true or not? And they're just going to keep giving me this medication. I'm going to take them, but I don't need them. I really don't need them. So it's being honest. People are not going to know unless I'm honest. Like I started telling the parole officer and the doctors, like, I really don't need this. It came to a point, later on, I did need a psychiatrist and therapy, talking out things. And then that's when I would open up to the therapist, and then God would take me back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I do need to heal from that. Like, for example, I never thought or knew that I had to forgive my mom and my dad. My mom, because of what she put me through, and she enabled me, because she would tell me, like, if you're going to go give your butt or your nalga, you charge money. Like, what mother does that? To me, it was okay, and I thought it was, oh man, I'm getting money, or, But when that therapist told me, she's like, don't you think, because she had asked me questions about my family, my mom, and when I told her, and she asked me, don't you think you gotta forgive your mom? Like, that hit me. I walked back to the halfway house, and I was like, man, I do have to forgive my mom. And that has taken me a long time. Like, it's been a process for me to forgive my mom. And I think I still have been going through that because it triggers me back. Things, the yelling, the down talking on me, and I don't know. It's something that I think I had anger. Like not long ago, I shared my testimony with the 700 Club, and she asked me that if I carried anger, and I was like, wow, that took me. They had to stop the cameras and everything, and I was like, I had hidden anger, and I didn't realize that. And now to reflect back, is like, that was all towards my mom mostly, because of her, my dad didn't have a voice. God took me one day in my personal time with God. He took me to forgive my dad because my dad didn't have a voice. He wasn't there emotionally for me or to support me in the way he wanted to. And so a lot of that anger was towards my mom. And it's been a long healing journey for that. I don't blame her for everything, and it wasn't her, it was spiritually, because she was dealing with a lot of things, like her story, coming from a drunk dad, abuse, she was abused, her mother was abused, all these things were things that she didn't heal from. And that's why I share a lot of these like little details about parents in our relationship or what they do and why they do it. I might not know it. It might not be the exact same thing, but it's something to think about. Your parents might be having inner healing that they need to go through. Inner things that they've struggled with because of what was done to them when they were children. And they grow up to say, that's all I know. Or that's, just don't say nothing. Or, Hispanic culture, we come from that. Like, don't say nothing. Only what happens behind doors is like, you got to keep it quiet. Nobody else needs to know. But I just share this, and a lot of the times, unforgiveness towards our parents, to whoever caused damage to us in our past. It's where we got to go back to those places, those things, those in your mind, and ask God to take you and help you have inner healing, because I've came to discover and to understand that we come to Christ, we become a new creation, but we still have a lot of things that we've carried, the things that we have not healed from. Yes, at times it's instantaneously we get healed, delivered, but there's times that we got to go back and into those roots. Why? Who? From where? And all I can say is that if you're going through it, if you're struggling in your addiction, if you're struggling to forgive, even at times we're already saved like me. I didn't understand I had anger. I had unforgiveness towards my mom. I just suggest that you give it to God. And at times we were raised and we were, taught, or we thought that we didn't have a voice. But we have an Abba Father that is willing to listen. He's patient. He's loving. He's gentle with you. He doesn't push you to do anything. I know that. That's why I say it's very important to be honest with yourself first and honest with God. He's waiting for you. Just like me in 2014, I had accepted him, and it took me a long time to forgive myself because of what I had lost. But the moment that I realized I had to let go and let God, he was there waiting for me. He never left me, never forsake me, even through all my mess that he allowed me to go through because of my disobedience. He's waiting for you. If you think you don't have a voice, don't listen to those. Don't listen to shame. Don't listen to the lies of the enemy, because God forgives you. God's grace and mercy is new every morning. You might have failed yesterday. You might have drank. You might have got high yesterday. But I hope that this touches your heart and understand that what he's done in my life is living proof for you to see what he can do in your life. He's so loving. The presence of God and Jesus, and all I can say is he's forgiving. He can forgive you. He can love you, understand you. Like, literally, I can feel God. It's something that it's kind of hard to explain, but you gotta have a willing heart. He doesn't hold nothing against you. And I know a lot of times that's when we fail him, the condemnation that we bring upon ourselves. But he doesn't condemn you. He accepts you as you are. And as you get closer to him, he'll change you. He doesn't expect nothing from you in exchange. Just your honesty, and that you accept him as your Lord and Savior.